Hi everyone, welcome back to Difference Frames the World, a channel that views world affairs from a unique angle. Today, we talk about the Nobel Peace Prize drama nobody has ever expected in history, one of the strangest political side stories in the past months of 2025 and 2026. A Venezuelan opposition leader, not Donald Trump, won the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize. Donald Trump did not hide his frustration at not being awarded the prize, as he regarded himself as the only person on Earth who deserved the Peace Prize in 2025, especially after he deliberately pushed the relevant parties to reach a ceasefire in Gaza the same day as the announcement of the Peace Prize in Oslo, October 10, 2025. 3 days after Donald Trump ordered the law enforcement raid on her country and arrested Maduro, the Venezuelan lady turned around and told the world, "Hey, I'd like to give this to Donald Trump, or at least share the prize with him."
I think it's very nice that she wants to come in, and that's what I understand the reason is, because Norway is very embarrassed by what took place. I mean, they're getting decimated. Look, whether people like Trump or don't like Trump, I settled 8 wars, big ones, some going on for 36 years, 32 years, 31 years, 28 years, 25 years.
Trump responded, "That would be a great honor." And he has even prepared himself for a meeting with the lady, obviously readying himself for a transfer of the long-expected award from the young lady. He could not hide his excitement about such a pleasant gift. And then the Nobel Committee stepped in and basically said, "Absolutely not. That's not how it works." And suddenly, we're not just talking about a peace prize anymore. We're talking about ego, legacy, resentment, and one man's very public frustration at never getting the award he clearly believes belongs to him. It is the story of María Corina Machado, Donald Trump, and the Nobel Peace Prize that Trump can't seem to win, no matter how hard he has tried. Let's start with María Corina Machado, the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize winner. The reason we start with who is María Corina Machado is that, outside of Venezuela and political circles, most people had never heard her name before she won the Nobel Prize. Machado is a longtime Venezuelan opposition leader. She's been fighting authoritarian rule for years, standing up to the Maduro government, calling out corruption, pushing for democracy, free elections, and human rights. It isn't a one-off thing for her, it's been her life's work. If we need to find a similar figure in China, Liu Xiaobo is a match, though not a perfect one. The difference is that Liu Xiaobo died under state custody, and the Venezuelan lady reportedly survived Maduro's alleged persecution. Both of them won the Nobel Peace Prize, but neither attended the ceremony to receive the award. Many criticize them as tools of regime change. Liu Xiaobo asserted that China should have been colonized for 300 more years, and Machado welcomed the U.S. raid on her country and kidnapped Venezuela's national leader and his wife. She offered to transfer the Nobel Peace Prize to Donald Trump, or at least share it with the man who ordered Maduro's capture. Liu Xiaobo was not as lucky as Machado. He died before the U.S. could initiate another regime change in China and kidnap China's president, Xi Jinping. However, the Chinese were luckier than the Venezuelans, as China is stronger than Venezuela and possesses the same military might as the United States. We also do not think Donald Trump is audacious enough to kidnap Chinese President Xi Jinping and fly him out of China, humiliating the Chinese nation another time. As an opposition leader, but it is a pity that she praised a foreign president for arresting her president and offered him the Nobel Peace Prize as a gift because he attacked her own country. Ironically, the Nobel Committee awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, however notorious it is now, to such a lady. And when the Nobel Committee rejected her offer to transfer the medal to the U.S. president or share it with him, the whole world was astonished. From when has the Nobel Peace Prize become a piece of scrap metal, not a precious metal anymore? What is the value of awarding the Nobel Peace Prize to a nobody who did little, if anything, for the peace at all? When the Nobel Committee announced her as the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize winner, it made sense in their framework. They believed that she represents resistance to dictatorship, nonviolent political struggle, and a push for democratic reform. That's exactly the kind of profile the Nobel Committee loves. But then, she did something unexpected. Instead of just accepting the prize and moving on, she went on television and said something along the lines of, This prize also belongs to Donald Trump. I want to share it with him. Or even give it to him. And that's when the internet collectively went wild. How can the President of the United States, the leader of the universe's most potent nation, get a second-hand Nobel Peace Prize? He claimed he had ended so many wars, some of which had lasted decades.
Me, and I don't want to be bragging, but nobody else settled wars. Obama got the Nobel Prize. He had no idea why. He still has no idea. He walks around, he says, I got the Nobel Prize. Why did he get a Nobel Prize? He got it almost immediately upon attaining office, and he didn't do anything, and he was a bad president. So, I mean, you should get the Nobel Prize for every war you stop.
And he believed he was the only one on earth who deserved the Nobel Peace Prize. To get that medal, he even forced Israel into a ceasefire that took effect on the same day the Nobel Committee announced the winner of the 2025 Peace Prize. Still, the Nobel Committee did not award him that prize. Everyone knows who is behind the tragedies in the Middle East. From Machado's point of view, the logic of sharing her prize with Donald Trump, or even giving it to him, was actually pretty straightforward. She credits Trump with playing a major role in the downfall of Nicolas Maduro, especially after U.S. actions led to Maduro being captured and removed from power. In her mind, Trump didn't just help Venezuela politically, he helped free the country from a dictator. So for her, offering the Nobel Peace Prize to Trump wasn't some random publicity stunt. It was symbolic. A thank you. A way to say, you helped us, and this prize represents that. Even though it is a second-hand piece of metal. Even though it is used, not a fresh one. Whether you agree with her assessment or not is a separate debate. But her intention was clear. She wanted to recognize Trump as a peacemaker publicly. However, she does not know that Trump ordered Maduro's capture not for her or Venezuela, but to protect the US dollar's world reserve status. And here's the thing. Donald Trump didn't reject the idea. Not even for a second. Trump's reaction is hilarious. He thinks it is a great honor. He even arranged the lady's tour out of Venezuela to the US. We believe this time, he did not want to kidnap her, but issued an invitation letter. When Trump was asked about Machado's offer, his response was immediate and predictable. He said it would be a great honor. Which, if you know Trump at all, tracks perfectly. Because the Nobel Peace Prize is one of the very few trophies he's never been able to put on his shelf, and it clearly bothers him. It wasn't humility. That wasn't a surprise. It was validation. Finally, the White House was saying out loud what Trump has been saying for years. President Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize more than anyone on earth. But then reality kicked in. The Nobel Committee says no firmly. The Norwegian Nobel Committee stepped in quickly and shut the whole thing down. It is unprecedented. No one in history has ever made such an offer to transfer the Nobel Peace Prize to another guy, however smart he is. They made it crystal clear, a Nobel Peace Prize cannot be revoked, transferred, or shared after it is awarded. Once it's awarded, that's it. Final. End of story. They weren't making a political judgment about Donald Trump. They weren't weighing his record. They weren't insulting Machado. They were enforcing the rules. But for Donald Trump, rules have never been the interesting part of the story. Here's where things get psychological. Trump didn't just want Machado's prize. He wanted his own Nobel Peace Prize. He's wanted it for years. And not quietly, either. He has talked about it publicly. He's complained about it. He's compared himself to past winners. And most importantly, he's compared himself to Barack Obama.
Obama got the Nobel Prize. He had no idea why. He still has no idea. He walks around, he says, I got the Nobel Prize. Why did he get a Nobel Prize? He got it almost immediately upon attaining office, and he didn't do anything, and he was a bad president.
Trump versus Obama, the Nobel grudge. If we ever want to understand Trump's obsession with the Nobel Peace Prize, we have to go back to 2009. Barack Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize less than a year into his presidency. At the time, even Obama himself admitted it was premature. It was awarded more for his promise and rhetoric than for actual achievements. Trump has never let that go. In Trump's mind, Obama got a Nobel for talking about peace, while Trump actually did things, such as negotiating deals, applying pressure, and forcing outcomes. So from Trump's perspective, the Nobel Committee made a terrible call back in 2009, and it has been ignoring his accomplishments since day one. And that's where the resentment comes from. Now let's talk about what really lit the fuse this time, the Gaza ceasefire. Trump claims credit for brokering a ceasefire that brought a halt to fighting between Israel and Hamas, a conflict that has devastated Gaza for years and drawn international outrage. In Trump's mind, that was it. It was the moment that should have sealed the deal, ending a major conflict in the Middle East. That's textbook Nobel Peace Prize material, at least according to Trump. And when the Nobel announcement came, his name wasn't on it. The frustration boiled over. Machado offering him her prize only poured salt into the wound, because it reminded everyone that Trump was close enough to taste it but still couldn't have it. Why does Trump want the Nobel Peace Prize so badly, then? Let's be honest here. It isn't about money. It's not about the medal. It's not about peace. It's about legacy. The Nobel Peace Prize is one of the few awards that instantly rewrite history books. It's a stamp that reads, "This person mattered globally." Trump wants that stamp. He wants to be remembered not just as a businessman, not just as a president, not just as a disruptor, but as a peacemaker. And more importantly, he wants that recognition more than Obama has. That comparison drives him. Then, why was the Nobel Committee never going to give it to Trump? Here's the uncomfortable truth. The Nobel Committee doesn't like loud self-promotion. They don't like candidates who campaign for the prize. They don't like transactional politics. And they really don't like controversy attached to the winner. Trump checks every box they dislike. Even when he does something that could arguably be peacemaking, it's surrounded by rhetoric, threats, and political chaos. That doesn't play well in Oslo. The Nobel Peace Prize likes long-term impact, moral symbolism, and consensus. Trump thrives on conflict, polarization, and disruption. Those worlds don't mix well. So when Machado offered to share or give her prize to Trump, it was never going to happen legally. But symbolically, it was huge. It validated Trump's self-image. It embarrassed the Nobel Committee. And it reignited the debate over what peace even means in modern geopolitics. Was it a genuine gesture? Probably. Was it political theater? Absolutely. And of course, the internet went wild. Some people mocked Trump relentlessly, saying he was begging for a prize he'll never get. Others defended him, arguing that the Nobel has become a political popularity contest. Some joked that Trump should create his own Nobel Prize and give it to himself. Others said the whole thing proved the Nobel Peace Prize has lost its meaning entirely. No matter where you stand, one thing is clear. This story struck a nerve. It isn't really a story about a medal. It's a story about how modern leaders crave validation, not just from voters, but from history itself. Trump wants history to remember him as a peacemaker. Machado wants history to remember her as a liberator. The Nobel Committee wants history to remember it as the moral referee. And none of them fully got what they wanted. Trump walks away without the prize. Again. Machado keeps the Nobel Peace Prize because she legally has to. And the Nobel Committee quietly reinforces the rules, hoping the story dies down. But Trump's frustration doesn't go away. But who cares except him? It doesn't taste very pleasant for Trump. As long as Obama's name sits on that Nobel list, even though he does not deserve it, and Trump's name doesn't twinkle there, however successful his peacemaking efforts are, that will always sting. In the end, peace isn't just about stopping wars. It's about how the world chooses to remember you. And for Donald Trump, the Nobel Peace Prize isn't just an award. It's the one thing that would make him feel like he truly won, particularly over Obama, a bad president, a good-for-nothing.
Obama got the Nobel Prize. He had no idea why. He still has no idea. He walks around, he says, I got the Nobel Prize. Why did he get a Nobel Prize? He got it almost immediately upon attaining office, and he didn't do anything, and he was a bad president. So, I mean, you should get the Nobel Prize for every war you stopped.